Brother Tim, we are officially live on this Tuesday,
Yes, sir.
April 27th, 2025. I got my dear brother, Mr. Timothy Ellison, and myself, Mr. Catch the Trainer. Part 2, Solopreneurship, Championships aren't won alone. My brother and partner, how you feeling today, bro?
Man, once again, I'm feeling great and grateful, brother.
Oh yeah,
Grateful to
oh
be
yeah.
here. Heart full of gratitude, man.
How was your weekend?
Action packed.
Yeah,
Action packed. Two events. Um, one Saturday, one Sunday. Uh, the baby shower, what my wife called the heartbeat of the business. And we had a 16-year-old party. I can't call it Sweet 16 because there was a guy that turned 16. It was a nice celebration to see the young people have a good time safely, and you know they did their thing.
that was that Saturday, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I came through there coming from the suburbs. I thought to myself, you know what? I'm gonna holler at him later. Because I kind of felt the vibe, but even though I wanted to come and connect with you, my goal is not to get in the way of the work being done because that's the service to the people. It's part 2, man. We had a real fruitful conversation, last week.
Absolutely.
I wanted to know that you have any new thoughts, to share about the topic, or any thoughts you wanted to bring some clarity or review, for the people. Totally up to you.
Mm. Some new thoughts. I'm gonna say this statement. Uh, when something is dropped on your spirit, act on it.
When something is dropped in your spirit, act on it. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah, when I get new ideas, I try to execute them as quickly as possible.
Mm.
And one of my statements to complement with your statement is the quicker that we respond and either experience success or failure, it's the quicker that we learn.
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't mind at all failing because it's a lesson in the failure if we don't allow the failure to become our identity.
Mm.
One of my sisters was asking me about an opportunity that she had to advance in her job for additional pay, and because she know that career preparation and development is one of my areas, one of my niches.
Yeah.
She asked me a question, and the question was, what was my thoughts on interviewing? Give me some tips on interviewing, Cage.
Mm.
First tip was be yourself. Be yourself, and any experience that you're gonna highlight in terms of your interview, you got to connect the task or responsibility to a lived out experience. Whereas you can position yourself to either support value, add value, or create value. And I left it at that. She was still a little bit hesitant to go into the interview itself because she believed that she felt that somebody else already had the position. My response: so if that's how you feel, you just never know. Even if you go and that's the case, you still get a lesson from that experience.
Oh yeah. Real valuable.
Yeah. Complimenting what you said. If I'm watching this, personally, y'all, because I'm a teacher that's always a student, I'm taking out a pen and a notepad, to jot some ideas down because both of us, Tim and myself, we're going to speak from lived out experience. Him being a connection specialist in his region, in addition to owning the venue, and then I'm gonna speak from the educator standpoint, in terms of academics, in terms of elementary, middle school, and high school, but I'm also going to speak from a business consultant standpoint as a program developer and designer. What I'm saying is that we just not going to give you fluff and buff theory stuff.
Mhm.
We're going to provide ideas, concepts, best methods, practices, scenario based learning that if you grab the nuggets, and as he said, and that's amazing that you said that, drop in your spirit or that's highlighted to you, go for it to get the lesson. Real fast. I, this is where I wanted to leave off with was comparison. And I'll share the statement that we shared last week. We said that comparison normally leads to competition.
Yeah.
And competition normally leads to a debate. A debate is internally or externally. When we put the word competition in context, we're talking about unhealthy competition. And what does unhealthy competition look like, business owners? It looks like this: Tim Venue is successful. He jam packed with events for the month of May. Speaking into your business, for the month of May, they packed out. Every Saturday, every Sunday, they got two events booked for the month of May. I'm
Mhm.
looking at that on the outside in, and I'm saying, I'm jealous. Oh, they successful. Oh man, they think they are that. See, we got to identify those thoughts that divide us. So if Tim and Miss Danita is successful in that regard, as a colleague, as a member of EU, I'm going to ask some questions. I'm going to ask some questions, not to spy them out, but to learn from their lesson, because obviously the lesson that they are working on, they excelling in that area. But the debate internally and externally leads to division, which equates to people staying in the solopreneur aspect. We wrote and we said that we compete with each other because we have the wrong perspective. We have an independent perspective instead of an interdependent. Interdependent means that I'm dependent on the network that I'm involved in.
Yes, sir.
The fruit from our lives should be an inspiration to each other. It should not result in unhealthy competition. What say you, dear brother?
You want my thoughts on that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Looking at our counterparts uh, or other businesses similar to us and looking at their success, you really don't know. You only can see surface level uh, if you don't ask the questions. I'm glad you did say that. You have to ask the questions and find out like what's the key to their success, what systems are they using, um, things like that, because they might look successful but not be successful as well. Um, it's always good to do your research and everything, and like you say, healthy competition and unhealthy competition is two different things.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, it's very dangerous to compare and contrast. Uh,
Yeah.
I always tell my daughter these affirmations: be your best and do your best. You know,
Wow.
that's the
Say it again
mentality.
for us.
Be your best and do your best.
Wow. Man, absolutely. There's a personal growth and development component that's associated with business that we often overlook. There's a personal growth and development component of business that we often overlook. And this is one of those components because if I'm not self evaluating and self examining myself, in addition to being or having or possessing a lack of emotional intelligence,
Mm-hmm.
I will be in an unhealthy competitive mindset towards my brother, and that championship is never going to be won. It's never going to be won. In context, the championship that we speak of is the restoration of the community that we service in a collaborative effort.
Mm-hmm.
Safe to say, I would say this to the people that's watching and listening, that most people get into business primarily to generate income for themselves,
Yeah.
not the restoration for a community.
Mm.
These are ideologies and mindsets that we got to address because the motivation is going to determine the direction, and the motivation is also going to determine the longevity of the business and the ability to endure when storms come. So people that's watching, I give three type of motivations in order: external motivation, internal motivation, and eternal motivation. I learned this from my great teachers. So one of my teachers shared it with his student, and then my teacher shared it with me as me being his student. External motivation is what it is. I'm motivated. I'm motivated. I'm motivated to start this business because I want to make some money, and I want to, yeah, I'll say make money in this context because it's the money can get me stuff. It can get me a quality of life as far as material components that have physical presence. Internal means that okay, it's the community. This me being dramatic, Tim. The community needs help. Oh, my heart is just crying out for the community, and I'm being sarcastic, but I'm not minimizing that. But the
Right.
reason why I'm bringing it in that way is because the highest form is eternal. I have a purpose to be a teacher. I didn't choose to teach. Teaching chose me. And so when we operate from the eternal aspect, because it's a spiritual component associated with that, the external stuff has no significance
Mm.
because you operating, for lack of better words, on a higher frequency or from a higher dimension of being. And when these obstacles come, you perceive the obstacles as opportunities. Obstacles become opportunities when you operate from a eternal sense of motivation.
Yes,
Jump.
sir.
What's your thoughts, man? Jump in there.
Man, that reminded me of a conversation that I had earlier today. A real estate broker,
Hmm.
and I was speaking to him about getting another property, and he was saying that he don't mind getting a property that he have to put some work into.
Yeah.
It just depend on the location, and the location determine what school that your kids go to. And he said, yeah, he can deal with something you got to fix up instead of paying the maximum price.
Hmm.
And I'm saying, okay. I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty handy myself. And then I said, yeah, I could fix some things up. I was taught as a youngster, how to lay floors and drywall, do different things. And he was saying that he used to fix things on his own, but um, he found out that yeah, he saved money, but his time was taken away. Time that's taken away from him to find other properties and come up with new ideas. Plus, he said when he delegate these jobs, he creating more jobs, generating more opportunity, and it's things go on a whole nother levels because now his head not down working on something, his head up, and his ideas flowing, and he making different deals. So you're just saying, just feeding the, the people,
Yes, sir.
it just brings prosperity. Even even with that, so that definitely connects.
Absolutely. I'm glad that you made that statement. So this statement that we're gonna share is the origin itself is. So I want everybody to, as you watching this, I want you to, no matter how old you are, just try your best to remember when you were in school, kindergarten, elementary, middle school, high school. And I'm gonna set this up, Tim, because this happened at your venue, so people can understand the context in which we're speaking from. Tim has a daughter that I have inherited, my niece. I love that girl to life. It's just something about her. I believe all kids are special, but there are some kids that I see and I say to myself, wow, I don't know what it is about that person, but it's something. So we had the business cohort, last Tuesday. And what was the topic? What was the topic again from last Tuesday?
Last Tuesday, the topic was about creativity and vision.
Creativity and vision. Tim's daughter, my little niecey, she had drew this picture, and she asked me, what should I draw? And I told her a butterfly. So she drew it, colored it, and she showed it to me. I said, can I have it? Like, yeah, it's for you. Took it, put it in my folder, and I posted it up in my little workstation, at our church, and I sent it to Tim. Said, let her know that I got that picture up there, because that's it meant something to me. I wanted her to know that.
Yeah.
As we going through this business cohort, she's still drawing. It's another little young lady that they're drawing with. They drew like an eye, if I can recall. On you didn't know this happened. She drew an eye. Both of them drew an eye, and it was myself and Gary. We was having a conversation, and the baby girls, they came up, and then they showed the picture, and the question was, which one is better? I need audience, please. No matter what ethnicity you are, no matter where you live, please understand this. These young ladies, these young ladies came to men and asked us which one was better. My response was, I appreciate them the same. And then Gary said the same thing. Now, why did we say that? Because they're young and impressionable. And what we didn't want to do is put them at odds and begin to be in competition, because that
All right.
deals with people's self esteem early. Our self esteem is built early by the people that we respect. And normally those people are in some type of authority figures. So when my niece, even though we're not related by blood, we're related by life, when I take on that title as uncle, that means a lot to that person. I may not understand what it means, but if I think back on how I look at my uncles, I'm like, oh, okay. I know what it means to a certain degree, but I don't know what everything it means for her. So we were cultivating an environment where we highlighted both the pictures equally. Why am I saying this? To lead up to this statement. We should be comparing our efforts to the standard that is set, because but the standard should not become our identity. Standard
Uh,
meaning when a child comes into a school, kindergarten, elementary, middle school, high school. The question is, what's the standard from a behavior standpoint and an academic standpoint? We need to set something that's neutral, because if not, then what transpires with these two little queens is the comparison game, and
hmm.
it equates to unhealthy competition. Your
Whoa.
stuff better than mine, and because the kids have limited life experience, they think that because my picture is better, I'm better than you. subconsciously. They may not say this, they may not fight, but in they deep in the wells of their subconscious, it turns into that means he like her more. Then the self esteem begins to dwindle down,
Yeah,
and it impacts them in the future. What's your thoughts about that scenario, my brother?
man, that's a great example of life and in business.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's how we come up. Um, we always want to be the best, starting off, and uh, competition, beat out the competition, and you really rarely hear about the same people that scream out, be the best, uh, beat out the crush the competition. You ever rarely hear about the collaboration or
Yeah.
teamwork
Yeah.
celebrated just as much. Um, and in reality, life is about collaborating. Um, Similar to a house, you got your plumbers, you got your electricians, you got your foundation workers, you got your roofers.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to do it all, it's not gonna work out.
Mm-hmm.
It's a team that all have to be on the same page.
Yeah. Because when we're younger, and as we transition from adolescence to teenager to young adults and adults, the standard for us of greatness was always a person.
Hmm.
Because you used to play football, right?
Yeah,
What position you play?
run it back.
Were you good?
Oh yeah,
And so my question to you is, how did you identify that you was good?
from the people, um, and all the things they used to say. Oh, he's hard to tackle. Oh, you gonna make it, man.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Man, you see him, man. You see how hard he hit, and just the performance and the numbers. The
Mm-hmm.
numbers said it
Yes.
all.
Then if I'm on an opposing team and I'm playing defense and I heard about man this brother Ellison, what number you had?
I was 37.
Man, number 37, man. We scouted number 37, Timothy Ellison, man. He hard to tackle. Man, he a beast. Immediately we thinking, okay. Now a person that's not confident in their ability and like, oh, I don't want to run into him. But then
Mhm.
a defensive back, lineman, cornerback, like, yeah, what number was you in?
37.
I'm a sock number 37 up. Man, he probably think he all that. Let's get him. Let's get
Right.
him, boys. Let's get him, brothers. And I'm giving that example because we got to remember competition. We got to ask ourselves when these words come, what's the context that the word is in? Because if we don't have the context, we ain't gonna understand it. I think that subconsciously, when we hear the word competition, we take it out of the context of sports and we put it over here in terms of academics. And
Mm,
because the standard in sports is normally a person, we take that and we go in our academics and we say, "Man, Tim, what you get on the exam, bro? I got an A. What you get? A B?" And because I'm young, I have limited life experience. I don't ever ask him how did he get the A. I just
right.
feel bad because he got a better grade than me. Or I'll use that as motivation, external motivation. Remember, that's the lowest form. I use that to make sure I get a better grade than him. And throughout life, we take that perspective and mentality, and it hits different areas of life. It hits our spiritual, mental, physical, social, emotional, and financial. So we find ourselves in comparison. So let me share this. We should be comparing our efforts to the standard that is set, but the standard should not become our identity. When this
Mm,
occurs, we get stuck. We get stuck in status. We get stuck in status. To combat this, we must abandon status to become a servant.
wow.
We must abandon status to become a servant. Servant. Hashtag no reputation, Hashtag Crim jumped on and Cage. I give you this. I give you this lived out. And Crim can attest to this. So Crim, if you want to throw a thought on, feel free. Crim is a tremendous speaker. Crim has spoke. Crim is an international speaker because I believe he spoke in Canada before. So that cracked the United States border. I remember me telling him, bro, we got to collaborate. We got to collaborate, man. We stronger together. Because what awakened me to it is that he had a speaking engagement. I think it was in Wisconsin, and it was some car stuff that took place that put his life in danger. And I thought to myself, this person got a whole wife and kids. I said, bro, check it out. Anytime you go anywhere, let me know. I'll adjust my schedule around yours to fit to support you. I don't need to get paid. I just want to make sure that we collaborate because I told him, I said, my goal is not to go anywhere by myself. My goal is to always bring people into that experience. He was going to speak at JJC, Joliet Junior College, which is a local junior college in Joliet off of Hobo Road. And he was, I don't, he didn't, I think he had a breakout session. He didn't keynote that one, that particular year.
Okay.
But I played his assistant. I made sure his lighting was what it would need to be, camera work. When we came into that school, most people said, "Hey, Ernest, what's up, Ernest? Good morning, Ernest." They didn't say nothing to Cage, Mr. Cage, the trainer. Insecurity came up. Bow. Why they don't recognize me? I had to manage that because the goal of collaboration is to ensure that we provide a high quality service or product that can bring some sort of restoration to the community in the type of work that we do. So I can't get distracted by my thoughts of how I feel. This is why I emphasize the personal growth and development of what we do. Because in order to grow, I have to identify the impediments that stop me from growing, maturing
Mhm.
as a
Yes,
person. Now I can
sir.
mature as a person, I'm gonna mature as a professional because you're gonna see the integrity in how I handle business and how I partner and collaborate through that lens itself. So once that came up, it didn't have nothing to do with him. It had everything to do with me. And so I'll land the plane on this because that's one of our EU standards is that when you're talking too much, land the plane. From that standpoint, when I identified that and I dealt with it, it was because I was in an environment that was outside of my control. And so
Mm.
people remain limited because they go into environments that's comfortable for them, that's predictable. Growth
Yes.
never occurs in an environment that you control or an environment that has predictable outcomes.
Yes.
We're stunted in our growth because of not coming out of our comfort zone.
Right. Right. That's one of our norms as well, to lean into your discomfort. And I shared that with the group of young people in Roseland on Saturday. It was a speaking engagement on how to build power out of poverty.
Mm,
And young people, they was on it too. They was asking us great questions. And one of them, one of the questions was, how do you build your connections in an environment of lack? I'm like, whoa. I'm like, hold on. I'm starting off heavy.
mm-hmm,
And and they wanted to know. And all I could do was pull back from what I experienced as a young person that was in an area that had limited resources.
mm-hmm,
I told them that your creativity is everything. Your vision,
mm-hmm.
let your vision run wild, and always put yourself in the place of where you want to go and where you see yourself. Speak it and put yourself in that position. Always read up on it, and man. That's what we call proximity. Though proximity is power, where you place yourself, ask questions, connect spiritually with our Holy Father,
Hmm.
and and it was a great panel. Uh,
Wow.
so yeah, we got to lean into our discomfort. Oh yeah, I told them pop up like toast. I was like, you guys popped up at this type of event. Just go to places you wouldn't normally go, and you'd be surprised who will pour into you. Got to go outside your neighborhood.
This is heavy. Thank you, my brother. This was my thought as I was listening to you talk. Championships are won by teams and not individuals.
Hmm.
But then my second thought was championships are won by teams and individuals. This is why I'm saying this in connection to what we're talking about. So even the example that you just shared, as far as because that was a heavy question.
Yes.
What was the question they asked you again?
How do you build your connections in an environment of lack?
So you had young people ask you that question.
Yes, young people.
That was a collaborative effort right then and there. Mr. Tim, you've been successful in with this group called Entrepreneurs United and your venue, the Winnie Shea. How does this happen? How does this happen in the sense of poverty? So then you answer the question from a lived out experience. That's collaboration right then and there. So the young people weren't intimidated by you.
Right.
They saw something in you that they needed and they asked a question. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Let me go back. Championships are won. I'll say this. Championships are only won by team effort, but at times there's only one individual that get recognition.
Mm.
My first thought that comes to mind, uh, even though Floyd may have his ups and downs financially, what people report, I don't really get into all of that. I'm looking at historically what that person has done. Floyd Mayweather, he was like 50 and one. He never lost a fight
Right.
publicly. Maybe behind the scenes somewhere, who knows? But the point is, he's a champion nonetheless. But it's people behind the scenes that you will never see that played a role in him becoming a champion.
Yes.
So though a person is recognized as an individual, it's still a team effort behind the scenes. Entrepreneurs, championships are not won alone. So though you may see a person, quote unquote, successful in whatever capacity or whatever criteria we use to measure success, they never done it alone. Nobody on the face of the planet can ever come and tell me that if they achieve some level of success, somebody else didn't play a part in it.
It's impossible.
Some people may deny it because they want the credit for various reasons, but that is something to consider. So as I stay on online with the educational aspect, we gotta our vernacular and language have to change with our kids. Ugh, this is a little heavy, but I want to make this a little heavier because I want people to disconnect from the ideologies that limit us as a community and stop us from collaborating.
Mm.
We believe that we self-taught. People, I've heard people say, "Man, I taught myself how to do this," but they got on YouTube and follows what else somebody else did.
Yes,
They
yes.
followed a model. They followed a model on what someone else did, and then they learned from the model. A person is never really self-taught, y'all. That is a external expression of learning a skill set. But the reality of it is there's a deeper depth that's really teaching us. I'll say this, there's a teacher inside of each person.
Oh
And
yeah.
a teacher that's inside of each of us that's really teaching us the skill set itself. I can't go too deep into that, But trust me, it's true.
Wow.
And I'm saying that so we can not be stuck and stifled by our own self accomplishment. Oh man, I did this by myself. I taught myself.
Yeah.
That's how people get stuck. It's an illusion. It's deception.
That's the glory. You want all the glory, the self glory. Yeah. It's dangerous.
It's so because it's dangerous in my opinion because it's very subtle and it come off real smooth and society have accepted that as a norm. This is the statement that I wanted to share. It's kind of a remix of the first statement as far as we should be comparing our efforts to the standard that is set, but the standard should not become our identity. So it's three different thoughts with three different components that I was sharing with Brother Tim earlier that came to me today was hustlers, hobbyists, and business owners. So we should be comparing our efforts. This is for people that have businesses, that aspire to have businesses, but all we did was, talk about the comparison and how it can divide us, and we brought it in such a way where people can relate to it when they were younger, as far as from an academic aspect. And the reason why we brought that is because the mentality could have started there or earlier, but we kept it going because we didn't understand that it was inaccurate or needed a fuller expression of that ideology. We should be comparing our efforts in terms of business now to the standard that is set. And you and I have talked about this. And this is no disrespect to anybody, but in order for us to really win a championship, you have to identify something for what it is. See, the thing about Tim, see, the thing about it, it's because you're an athlete. So let me ask you this question. Do you remember? So you played football for 4 years, right? Or three?
Yeah.
All four?
Yeah. 4 years.
What was your highest yard total?
It was about 125.
125 in one game?
Yeah.
Do you remember how many you had each season?
Hmm. The highest of each season.
Hmm.
None higher than that. Um,
Like you had
Sporadic.
1,000 over a football season, something to that degree.
I got close to 1,000
Yeah.
my junior year.
Tim and I collaborated last December on the data. I don't recall if you recall the specific title, let me know. But I know it was had something to do with data or analyzing data and data collection and analysis to drive business growth. That was
Yeah.
the title that we used. Tim and I did a collaboration at Entrepreneurs United last December. And the major aspect about that was connected to numbers. Numbers are objective, numbers are not subjective. 1,000 is 1,000, no matter who looks at it. And I'm giving this point because what we experience in this next segment, as we finish out our conversation, is we look at terms. Now, terms themselves, words are not objective. They're subjective.
Mm.
Numbers, 1, 2, 3, 5, 100, 1,000. They never change. But words are subjective. They're based upon
Absolutely.
who the word comes from and who interprets the word. Here we go. So, Brother Tim, three words: hustle, hobby, and business. When you hear the word hustle or hustler, what comes to mind?
Multiple things. Um, Transactional. Um, Self. self motivated.
Hmm.
Uh, those are the type of words that quickly jump out at me.
Hobby.
Something I do on my spare time. I'm not as passionate. Um,
Yes, sir.
yeah.
Go ahead. I wasn't trying to interrupt you.
A hobby is something that I can pick up and I can put down anytime I want. It's not permanent.
Business.
Business is foundational, solid, uh, data, uh, uh, transitional, growth, legacy.
Those who are watching. Solopreneurship championships are not won alone. Check this out. We should be comparing our efforts in terms of business to the standard that is set. So there are people that believe that they have businesses, but they're self-employed. A self, if you're self-employed, that you can consider that as a form of business, but it's not the business that you think it is. The question is, do you have a hustle? Do you have a hobby? Or do you have a business? To complement what you said, I wrote hustle or hustler. I'm
Mm,
looking for opportunity.
yeah.
I'm man, I got for lack of a better word, because last week you used the DVD example, like when you created DVDs and you was producing. I got DVDs, man. Who want them?
Yeah.
Hobby. I wrote pastime. I do it for fun. I do it every once in a while. You said it. You said spare time.
And the word I always came up with both of those too.
Well, when we go into business, you said foundational, solid, data. I wrote a system.
Whoa.
A system. When we have a business for real, we have a system. We're not looking for opportunities in the aspect of hustling, and it's not something that we do in our spare time. However, you can have a business and have a job simultaneously. My track and my journey was because my work was connected to my purpose. It was two. It was the same. So if I'm as I'm teaching at a school, this is what I do anyway. So it was able to complement the business itself. So that can happen, but you have to reach a point where, well, maybe you can, maybe you can't. It all depends. But I wanted to reach a point where I could disconnect. I was using the job as a college to test out what I wanted to do, in the community. So what I won't do is impose one definite structure on the people, but just giving them a smorgasbord to choose from. This is what I wrote years ago. I forgot how many years it was, but I wrote this, and I want to know what your thoughts are. Because remember, we're talking about hustle, we're talking about hobby, we're talking about business under the umbrella of you cannot win championships alone. Not being a solopreneur. What we're really looking at is where the mindset of a person that's under solopreneurship and helping them identify those mentalities, those impediments, those obstacles that's hindering them from having a business that has a system that can run and operate without them being physically present. Not trying to impose that on people, but giving people options and letting them kind of assess where they are. If they want to get to that point, then we'll give them some master keys to get there. This is the statement, my brother. You will not become great at a hobby. You will not become great at a hobby. What's your thoughts about that?
Wow. It don't even sound like they go in the same sentence, hobby and greatness. because of you got to be dedicated to achieve greatness. You
Wow.
you got to be a team player. You got to put in work. It's just
Yeah.
hobby seem more uh, like you on the leisure side of things. You know.
Yeah. And check it out, y'all. If that's the personality that you fit, tell people that.
Uh,
Yeah, if this is something that I do in my spare time or part time, I'm a hobbyist, and I sell DVDs every once in a while. I'm using DVDs. I know it's outdated. Experience that Tim shared with us last week. If I sell DVDs every once in a while as a hobby, I need to let Tim know that, because if I don't, he can automatically assume this is what I do,
right.
my main source of income. When he need a certain DVD and I don't respond because he projecting the thought of this what Mr. Cage does, because I didn't clarify for him, when that product and service doesn't come, he disappointed because it's not
Mm.
coming when he want it. It's not coming when he need it. Now what could take place is he could blanket me and blanket a whole group of people off a misunderstanding.
Wow.
What am I really trying to say?
Triple effect.
What I'm trying to say is that when we had these businesses, we got to understand, is am I self-employed or do I have a business associated with a system? When people come for the service or product and they have an expectation that I have a business, I need to let them know that this is just something that I'm testing out. So don't hold me to the expectation if I don't follow through. But when that communication is not clear and they don't get what they need or want when they need it or want it,
Mhm.
oh man, that's bad service or bad product. You know what? That's why I don't do business with them group of people.
Uh,
Yep, off one incident that there was no clarity in the communication. Can you
mhm.
speak to that from your experience?
Yes. Communication. My goodness. Communication is everything when it comes to business.
Mm.
Um, Trustworthiness and transparency. That's huge for us. Um, Now you want me to speak on how they group us, how someone will group us and hold us account. Like,
I want you to speak on a situation that you had or something that you observed where somebody didn't get what they wanted or needed from a business, and they said, you know what, I ain't doing business with them people no more.
let me see. Let me see. Oh,
Or maybe you experienced that in your business and you had to, bring clarity to people.
let me see. Yeah, I know it got to be something. Um, it's a particular restaurant. That's the only one I could think
Yeah.
of. Yes, yes. Um, where the restaurant is supposed to serve as a vegan restaurant, but the vegan option was just put out there to attract the vegans, but they didn't
Okay.
perfect it.
Got
And
you.
I gave some information about a vegan restaurant. I didn't know, that they was, you know, limited on their experience in vegan cuisine.
Hmm.
And it kind of backfired on me.
Oh yeah. And I'll say this too. That could hinder a relationship because I just had an
Right.
experience where one of my brothers was looking for a service, and because I wanted to help and assist, I did some research, sent him, some different organizations or companies that provide the service, but I never used them before. It was just more so, hey, try this, try this, try this, try this. And he had an experience where the first company that he reached out to, they reached back, but nothing ever came of it because they lacked follow through. He could have looked at me and said, Cage, why you sending them people to me? But thankfully, because our relationship, he didn't. And then we
Yeah.
talked about it. And then I explained my method as far as how I came about sending those people to him. What I should have did was went with the company that was referred by a person who had used people before.
Yeah.
That's extremely important. But I'm giving that because that if our businesses are not set up in terms from a systematic standpoint, process and procedures in place,
Hmm.
then when we looking for opportunities, we not ready for the opportunities we looking for. So let me say,
Yes.
the question is, if you have a business, self-employed business owner, systems, the question that we want to pose to you is, are you ready for
Mm.
the opportunities that you're looking for?
I get you. We had experience with Lebuini Shea when we first started with the position of virtual assistant. It was a lot of virtual assistants popping up around that time, right off the cuffs of COVID.
Hmm.
And they charged, I believe it was like 150 a month. And they only posted 3 times. And I believe that was a hobbyist.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, the young lady did not deliver.
Hmm.
And it did make us look back at the person that referred the uh, the individual. Like, whoa, hold on.
Hmm.
You do your background check, but I found out that they was related. So
Yeah.
it was, yeah.
And these are some of the experiences that manifest from the mindset of a solopreneur.
Mm,
Because when I'm running stuff alone, I can only do so much. And you gave one of the key words throughout our conversation was multiple. I'm involved in multiple stages of the operation. So say for example, in the example that I shared, that person needed a service or product, and then the person that has the business is communicating with them, but they
mm,
communicating with the person, but they also doing the work at the same time. So something's gonna fall through the cracks because I'm operating as a solopreneur. I'm not gonna be able to win the championship. I'm not gonna be able to provide quality service and product to that individual and to a whole conglomerate of individuals because I may not have a team. I may not be operating in a collaborative effort, and I also don't have a system. So solopreneurs normally, from my experience, they they don't have systems in place. It's all in their head. And it reminds me of, and I think I may have alluded to this, that operating as a substitute teacher, at one point in my career, when I'm coming into a classroom, the teacher had sub plans.
mm.
Sub plans, it opened up my eyes because some sub plans were more detailed than others, but all the sub plans told me what I needed to do. And the teacher was not physically present, but the plan was.
Yes, sir.
So in a collaborative effort, I can come and support you if you got a document with the process and the plan and the policies and procedures in place. All I got to come and do is read it. And if I don't understand it, what would I do? I can email that teacher. But
Get
if,
clarity
huh?
and get clarity.
Yeah. But that teacher can never take off if he or she don't have a plan. So I'm hitting
Absolutely.
plan, 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 plan. Now I'll say this to my teachers, no disrespect to them. They operate as solopreneurs a lot. Yep. Some of them had the ability because sometimes you have assistants in your classroom, paraprofessional, and when you build that relationship of trust, then y'all can work together as a tandem.
That's
But
the word.
the teachers is working solo.
That's the word I was thinking of too when we was having our conversation. You have to be able to trust that someone can do the job without you, and that's holding back. I can think of about 5 different solopreneurs that say, "I don't know if they can get it like I can do it. I don't know if they can make the similar to one of my cousins. They got chicken. They call it self shy wraps,
Hmm.
and they out there in the South Heights.
Hmm.
booming. Mother daughter duo. Now they got two locations, but they not letting go. They saying they don't think nobody can like fold the wraps up the way they can fold them up, or and I'm like, you got to let that go. And I heard the decorator say that as well. They just can't. I got to be there. The
Man,
trust, the
yeah,
trust.
that could be a sense of control, but my first thought from a solution based perspective is that's why it's important for us to hire our kids and get them on payroll.
Mm,
Because if I got a business and it's truly operating as a business with operation systems in place, if I can cultivate my kids and get them in there, I don't got to be concerned about that.
facts.
Because I feel them because from a franchise model, you got different franchises that are larger, but some franchises that you see they dealing with food, but the SOP, the standard operating procedures, is in place, and that franchisee has a vested interest in the success of that franchise, right? But versus when you hiring a person and you may be paying them an hourly wage, are they really invested, in the success of the company? Who knows? But that is a thought itself, because we can't get out of solopreneurship unless the example that you mentioned is that we trust. And trust comes through relationship, whereas you can train a person to get to that space. And that the relationship conversation is loaded, but we don't have time to touch on that. I wanted to
Right.
give I wanted to because we gave the thought, you will not become great at a hobby. And this was an add-on from one of my Facebook friends, Kitty Mustafa. And it was a statement that I made, and then she commented under, and she said, "Unless that hobby turns out to be a moneymaker, you dominate and body the hobby." I said, "Whoa." You will not become great at a hobby unless that hobby turns out to be a moneymaker. You dominate and body the hobby. And I
Right.
remixed it. I wrote, you dominate and embody the hobby. So
Mm,
when you identify a hobby, this is something that's in my pastime, so that I do. Ooh, I found this. This is the gift that I've been given. And so once that's identified, and then the market is calling for it, and you begin to embody it, then you transition from average, good, and great. And the last statement I would share, and you can speak to this: run your business like a business and not like a hustle.
absolutely.
What does that mean for you?
Run your business like a business and not a hustle.
Not a hustle.
A business definitely has systems, as you said. A business requires teamwork.
Hmm.
A hustle just requires you alone
Yeah,
to get what you got to get.
yeah,
Transactions.
yeah. So to your point, as we wrap up our conversation today, solopreneurship championships aren't won alone. That last statement, running your business like a business and not like a hustle, that's all connected to the motivation,
Mm-hmm.
to why the person does it. So if I'm getting in the business just to make money, then I'm probably gonna be hustling.
Right. Wow. Wow. I look
Yeah,
at it like that.
yeah, because I'm looking, I'm okay. I'm trying to make some money. I ain't trying to service people. See, when the money making goes before the service, it's destined to have, I won't say fail, because that's kind of an indefinite word, but is destined to have some ups and downs because the motivation is wrong. The motivation is external versus being internal or eternal. So now I'm subjecting myself to external factors, and then when things shift, you know what? I'm gonna do something else. You
Mm.
know what? This is a little tough. I'm gonna do something
Yes.
because it didn't, because the origin of it. didn't come from within. It didn't really come
Business.
from us really wanting to help people.
It's legacy building. It's legacy building as well because the business is connected to um, the government,
Hmm.
politicians. They love businesses because it's the heartbeat of the economy. It it helps with the property taxes.
Hmm.
You create relationships with other business owners, and um, you're in a leadership position. So it's a legacy building thing,
Hmm.
and how your family look at you. You know, it's a lot of responsibility when it comes to business. A
Hmm.
hustle, uh, you know.
Yeah. Now I'll say this as we close: people are gonna challenge what we saying about hustling. They're gonna challenge it. That's cool because it's connected to their life experience and
Mm,
successes that they have had throughout. But when you're hustling, you know what it involves, brother? It involves your time.
yes, sir.
It involves your time. So to transition out of the hustler mentality into the business owner mentality, systems got to be in place. I am tremendously grateful and thankful, and I'll share this because the the revenue that our organization generates is not absorbed by time. It's not absorbed by time. And maybe if we do a part three, we'll talk about dollars per hour. And I was first introduced to this concept that was opposed to that. Brother Jim Rohn, a legendary speaker,
Mm,
and I forgot. I think my brother Bryson Nobles first exposed me to Jim Rohn way back in my early 30s, maybe late, yeah, early 30s. And Jim Rohn's concept was you don't make dollars per hour, you make dollars per value. Once that concept came to me and I understood it, it changed the dynamic of how I approach life and business. When I say changed totally, it changed pricing structure, it changed my outlook, it changed my collaborations, it changed how I approached, different contracts that we would obtain. And I say that because my value system is primarily based on time freedom, not money. So because we operate from a space of value, we have time. And time is, in my opinion, I've heard it say it before, so I'll parrot it, but I'm parroting it from my life. Time is, if not the most, one of the most precious commodities that we've been entrusted with. Because
yeah,
time is gone, you can never get it back. I'm saying that because if a person is a hustler, then they probably using a whole lot of time to gather these opportunities. But there's a more excellent way. What's
well
your
said,
man? Close us out, brother.
man. Systems, legacy, and transitional, uh, and transitional uh, in sales, transitional in collaboration, be transitional in life.
Hmm.
That's what I lead the people with. And transitional means one thing will lead to another, and it'll constantly be on a growth.
Yeah, yeah. So keep in mind, audience, solopreneurship championships are not won alone. And though we may see people in, professional arenas, sports, entertainment, we may see that one person. That one person may be highlighted, but there's a group of individuals that's working in collaboration with that person, that's allowing that person to be in that position. And so, whatever position that you
Absolutely.
desire to arrive in terms of your business, it will not be done alone. If you choose to, and this me saying this, if you choose to go the hustle route, I guarantee that you will be tired.
Hmm.
And
Burnt
it,
out.
can you service and generate income without being exhausted? Yeah, you can. But it's all connected to what it is that you do, your industry, and some of the best practices that's associated with that. But you got to get connected. You got to get connected and collaborate with individuals that have done and been where you desire to go. So I'll say this: just because ideas come to us that we oppose does not mean that they should be discarded. They're,
Hmm.
as my teacher would say, they're worth introspection and contemplation and assess it. Okay, where am I self-employed or do I have a business? Do I have systems in place? Uh, hmm. If I'm self-employed, why am I not involving people in what I do? Yeah, and let me slay this monster. Some people would say this, man, I can't pay nobody because we always think about pay in terms of fiat money or currency.
Hmm.
But when you begin to understand that you can do value exchanges,
Right. Yes, sir.
the game changes. Because when you do value exchanges and you get to that point where you can pay people or give people contracts, things begin to look different. Oh man, I
Yeah.
heard
Yeah. Yeah.
from this brother, Joshua Salmon, and in my paraphrase, he said that problems are specific to a person's ignorance.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's my paraphrase. He said it
Yeah.
came out much more powerful than I shared it. But the brother said, so I'm saying it in my own paraphrase, any problems that we have is specific to the level of ignorance that we entertain.
Wow.
So I have problems because I'm ignorant. Yeah, I either don't know or I ignore. But if I can identify a person who has solved the specific problem that I'm having, I'm no longer ignorant. I'm exposed, I'm educated, and I'm empowered. All I have to do with the last E is execute.
Hmm.
Man, championships are not won alone. Solopreneurship, this is us, Entrepreneurs United. Brother, what's going on this week, Entrepreneurs United in Hazel Crest?
This week we're gonna focus on building, building and foundations as a business owner,
Hmm.
and we're like one of the members said, our answer is within our community.
Yes, sir. You want
So
to
we're
send
going to dedicate a whole session to that.
the people an invite out?
Oh yeah, come on out. Um, you can be a part of this community that we speak of community leaders, like-minded professionals, entrepreneurs. It's a wealthy um, economic hub. And just drop by Le Buini Shea. We're located in Hazel Crest, 17100 Dixie Highway, Suite A. It's a business cohort from 7 to 9, $15 is the entry. Dinner's included with that. And we start off with prayer. We open up with prayer, then we introduce ourselves, what we do, check in mentally. Uh, we do a brief hot seat question, then we serve dinner, then we go on to our subject. We do a group activity after that. We do a presentation, and we close out with prayer. Take a group picture, and it's on to the next. And it pumps you up for the week and gets you prepared for the rest of the week.
Yes, sir. Thank you for that, brother. In addition to what he was saying, too, we'll be presenting the new school to prison pipeline next Monday, the
Yes, sir.
same address in the same city, Hazel Crest. 2 hour life journey. It's no longer a presentation, it's a life study. I'm going to give tremendous concepts, revelation, confirmation, affirmation. There are going to be conversations that's going to be had that you're going to be able to confirm with. Okay, yeah, I knew that. There's going to be some conversations and statements that's going to affirm and really affirm you and give you a strong foundation to move forward. But there's going to be some concepts and ideas and thoughts that's going to be shared that's going to be very revelatory. It was always there, but I couldn't see it until I came in and listened. The end result is to position our families to truly maximize their full potential because full potential will never be maximized through standardization.
Hmm.
Because standardization in context is very predictable and it puts everybody in the same pool and it equates to limitation. We all can't be the same, y'all.
Yes,
We
sir.
A community is a group of individuals who are not identical. They are very unique. I used to do this exercise with the puzzle pieces. I think it was called a body. I think it was called no, not body of people, but it was more based on the community. And what I used to have my students do is I would, put puzzles, 4 or 5 puzzles on the tables that they were sitting at, depending on if I had 12 or 20 students, and I would give them maybe, if I can recall, maybe 5 to 10 minutes to put together a puzzle. And after they put the puzzle together, then they had to answer the questions, that I gave them based on the exercise itself. And one aspect that always came up was that you got to have a vision before you can put this puzzle together, right? But
Yeah.
there is no piece that's identical to the other.
Mm.
None. So what our system has done is made all these pieces look alike.
Wow.
Yeah, formed and shaped them. You all guys are identical. Absolutely not. You can never train a group of people and put them in the system and standardize everything. You'll always miss out on the gifts and the talents and the different abilities and experiences that they have. But not to go too depth into that, that's what we're looking forward to. May the 4th, 7 to 9. It's gonna be it's gonna be what it's gonna be. We invite you out
Absolutely.
there as well. EU will be in the building. You can come and network and make some connections there. We got tomorrow, our
Yes,
cohort,
sir.
and then we have the experience which is taking place, the new school to prison pipeline, May 4th, 7 to 9. Brother, I appreciate you making the sacrifice for us to follow up with a part 2. We'll talk more because it's still other pieces of the conversation as far as solopreneurship that we haven't touched yet. But
Absolutely.
we'll see. Well, I don't know if we'll be able to do it because I'm gonna be locked in for Monday. But y'all, thank y'all for joining. We will check back with you soon.
Right.
Be great at what you do, but always aim to be greater at who you are.
Absolutely. We out. Blessed and productive day.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, bro.